everyone, and welcome to SE Up Close. Today, I'm so excited to be here with Ashley. Ashley is the founder of Deering Media, a creative agency offering marketing and branding solutions and helping businesses grow and reach new heights. I've worked with Ashley when she was the marketing director for a very successful municipal election campaign, which was said to be one of the most memorable election campaign in the city of Fredericton ever. Today, we are here to chat with Ashley about this campaign and how did she manage to build this awesome experience for everyone. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to have you as well. So let's get going. Let's get started. How did you approach creating a team and coming up with a plan for this awesome campaign?
Yeah, so I was approached. So I think the election only really kicked into gear maybe like March, and we had the actual election in May. So we started things really early. I think Cassandra, who was our candidate that we had the campaign for, she approached me in October and said, Ashley, I know you own a production company at this time. So I didn't even have my marketing agency yet. I had a photo and video business only. So this was like really far left field for me to one, come into something that's political, and two, come into something that was all marketing based. But I love a challenge. So she was like, well, you come on as my marketing director. And I was like, you know what? That sounds terrifying, but let's do it and figure it out as we go. So I think I was one of the first people that she had brought on. So once she had her marketing director, we kind of started looking for campaign managers. And as I started creating more of like what we wanted to do to market this whole campaign, then we started finding like blog post writers and people that we could bring on to help support all these efforts, because it truly was an ambitious campaign that we threw on.
Yeah, it was, you pulled something awesome.
So yeah, no, I think we started really early, and we had a great team of people that Cassandra has an act for finding people that not only get along really well together, but also had a different skill set. Everybody brought something different to the table, and we were all able to learn from each other and support each other. It was really an impressive girl gang that we had.
The dream team, right?
Yeah, the dream team.
And how did you choose the channels, like blog, podcast? Like you did a lot of awesome content, but how did you, like, first of all, how did you choose that, and how were you able to manage them as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. We did a lot. So let's not joke here. We were posting every single day on Instagram and Facebook. We had 3 blog posts going out a week. We had a weekly podcast, which we were using to put that content, break it down into other channels. We had a weekly newsletter going out. So we knew going into this campaign that the city of Fredericton and their citizens, their main frustration with the current city council was that they felt really disconnected from them. They didn't feel like they knew what was going on in their own dang city. So we went into, like, my whole marketing plan was based around how do we build that trust and show that communication and show them the type of counselor you're going to be before you even end up in that spot. So Cassie really became known for being the candidate that was informing the city of what was going on. So we tried, the reason we did so many different channels, and it was hard to keep up with, but the reason we did so many different channels is because Ward 10 is very diverse. So for those who don't live in Fredericton, our city is divided up in 12 different wards. Ward 10 is one of the downtown sectors, and that's what we were campaigning for. And in that sector, you have such a wide variety of people. You have the young people that are working their first jobs and getting started in life, to people that are retiring and bought their dream historic home in that downtown section. So we really knew that, like, you know, the younger generation, the millennials, will be on Instagram, but maybe the older people, the boomer generation, is more so on Facebook. So we really had to make sure that we were trying to talk to everybody in different ways. So we would create one piece of content, but then we would break it up in different ways to communicate it to different groups of people. It's different from like helping a business with their marketing, because I come in and I say, okay, what's your demographic? And it's, oh, females 18 to 30 and they love to shop, and, you know, whatever in the heck it may be. This wasn't like that. This was like, we have all the demographics, and you need to appeal to all of them and get them to vote for Cassie. So that itself was challenging.
And you definitely did a great job on that.
I appreciate that. And then it was other things too. Like we wanted to make sure the content was accessible. So like you could go on and read a blog post, but if you couldn't read and you wanted to listen to maybe the podcast version of that or whatever, you could hear that. So like we wanted to make sure that it was very accessible as well. And no matter what kind of content you'd like to consume, we even have the podcast going up on YouTube in a video format if you prefer to watch that. Like we covered all the bases. And again, I don't want anyone to ever think it was all me. I had such a great team behind me. The dream team supported me. We had girls writing the 3 blog posts per week, and I was just helping them figure out what topics and what, key points and call to actions we were trying to establish with that piece of content. But they really took it and ran with it. Like, oh my gosh, like you need to have a solid team behind you if you want to run a campaign that was that efficient and successful.
Yeah, definitely. And I do like the part where you made different formats, like, text, image, videos, every different, styles. So whatever, like if someone wants to listen or, while driving, they have podcasts. If they want to read it, a little bit old people would maybe like to read it, it's there as well. So that was really, really.
We were everywhere. And one of the key
Yes, this is one of the feedback the campaign got, like, guys, you're everywhere. Yes.
It really dawned on me that our marketing was efficient when we started. So this was all throughout COVID. So a lot of what we did in the beginning stages was digital only. And only within maybe the last couple of months gearing up to the campaign, we were able to start going door to door and doing those things. And oh my God, is it ever funny when you knock on someone's door and they know exactly who the candidate is and they've never met you before and it's because of your marketing? Like, oh, confidence booster. I was like, yes, this is going great. We got this.
Yeah, and I remember even people started, emailing Cassandra and asking her questions about stuff just to know her opinion on issues and stuff. Yeah, it was. And I just want to highlight there was not a big budget for the campaign, right? Because people would think if you have all these channels and you've been that successful, there was like a huge budget behind it.
That was the other thing. So a lot of what we did was free. So one of the reasons we win on all these platforms is because we have free access to them. So I was like, well, if we can't find somebody on Instagram, maybe I can get them on Twitter or whatever. Like we were on every platform. Oh my gosh.
Gonna find you and gonna get you.
That was it. And the thing that cost the most money throughout that campaign wasn't even any of the digital marketing. It was the print media, printing the big signs and putting them up, locally and all that kind of stuff. The print campaigns where we were sending out postcards and stuff like that. Like that's where all our money basically went. Everything else, we pulled that together ourselves. And I should probably note that I volunteered on this campaign and stuff too. Like I wasn't paid for my services. It was really like a learning experience to see what I could do. And oh my gosh, I could do a lot.
You really did a great job, and everyone on the team as well. It was very, and the way we worked, and then you see something come alive, and the way people, interacted with it was really, really awesome. And I feel it built confidence for everyone on the team. Like, like, wow, we can do this. Right?
It was very uplifting. Like we had weekly dream team meetings where we would all jump on the Zoom call. Most of us had never met in person before. We were just interacting over this. It was, during a pandemic and towards like the end of 2020 to jump into something that was so uplifting, like that really changed my life. Like I never thought I'd be owning a marketing agency. And it was that experience that gave me the confidence to be like, hey, I'm better at this than the video and photo stuff. I'm gonna go do that now. And now here we are.
Yeah, and like for me, one of the most impactful content were the podcasts, because some of them were like about interviews with a lot of the local people, and like the interview with the John Howard Society talking about homelessness, and how you manage to plan and translate the causes Cassandra was talking about, and focusing her campaign on into content. Like this interview with about homelessness and mental health, and there was a lot of awesome topics that I feel resonated with the people in the community. One thing is that, what do you think was, given that we did the podcast and then also the content and blog posts and videos and all what we did, what do you think was the most impactful channel or channels?
I want to say, so for me as a marketer, whenever I'm working with a client and they say, oh, I want to boost my Instagram or I want to boost my Facebook or whatever, I always say to them, well, why? What are you trying to funnel them to? What's the main goal? And for me, it's always to get somebody to your website. Your website's where you, if you're a business, you have your packages and your services and everything like that. But in Cassie's campaign, it was, this is where you go to learn about her. This is where you can go see what's important to her in the community. This is how you can see how you can relate to this person. So we were posting those podcasts and the blog post all directly to the website and gearing everyone there as a landing place. So they could start there, read that piece of content, listen to that piece of content, and then go, oh shit, I really resonate with this person. And then keep diving deeper into the site. So really, I think having an effective website was maybe our main, like having a good landing place. Like social media is great and everything like that, but if you can get them to a solid place and then they're spending time there and really digging deep into what you've laid out for them there, I think that's your best piece of content. But like you said with the podcast, having such a wide variety of guests was very intentional.
Yeah.
We, again, because the demographic wasn't just one demographic, it was here's this area and everybody lives here and has different interests and age groups, and you know what I mean. We had to really make sure that we were hitting on the campaign pillars themselves. So like homelessness was something that was really important to her, like food security, because she's the executive director of the kitchens, things like that. We really wanted to make sure we hit on. But the main thought behind that whole podcast wasn't for Cassie to come on and be like, I believe in this and bum, bum, bum. It was to be a listener, ears for the community, because as a city councilor, you go on to city council to represent your community, your ward. So really that was all a psychological, like there was a whole thought process behind that. She was already being a listening ear, an open ear to the people in her community and having the conversations that she knew that they wanted to hear. It was really smart, honestly. So the podcast, brilliant. Having blog posts. So the other thing about blog posts that you taught me, my SEO little wizard, was that having these frequent blog posts really, really did help us. And right now, if you Google like Fredericton City Council, Cassie's face pops up in so many different ways, and all these different links from like YouTube and the blog, and like, oh my God.
Everywhere.
It's hilarious what we did with the SEO on this campaign. Oh my gosh. So yeah, like those were probably, again, it all comes back to having a really solid website. We could have just had a podcast that went out every week, but if there wasn't something extra for them to latch on to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I feel it really, was you were able to build this connection with people on whatever their interest is, like mental health, homelessness, food security, and so on. And yeah, definitely having a solid landing page and a place where they can come back to if they, want to see something again or share it with someone or show something to someone. That was also very, very important to the campaign. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Oh, something else we were doing is we were doing recaps of the city council meetings, which was something
Yep.
that was being done before we started doing it, but they were very brief. That, like there was just a couple of points and stuff like that. Cassie went out of her way to write a really clear report each week and say, hey, this is what's going on in the community. Here's what we're voting on. Here's what's coming up next. There's this community engagement website you can go talk about your thoughts and feelings on, like da 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 da. Like that was a really, really effective piece of content that still the campaign's over and we're not helping her anymore. She's still doing that to this day, which is really cool to see. I'm like, yeah, that worked. That was effective.
Yeah. And I'm sure we touched on that, but what do you think was the community reaction to the campaign? Like, what? Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
I think with Cassie's campaign, it was the first time that, and I don't want to be like, I was revolutionary, but I think it was like
it was.
But I do think it was the first time that the younger generation, our age group and stuff, these millennials really felt like they were involved and understood what was going on. And I think that trickled out to not just millennials either. I think a lot of people felt frustrated with the lack of communication that they felt between city council and the mayor and the rest of the city, where their money was going, what the planning was and stuff like that. And also nobody wants to sit down every second Monday and listen to like a 3-hour city council meeting. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's nice to have a little recap or something quick to be like, oh, okay, here's what's going on. And if I need to know that and everything. So like, we rocked that.
Yeah, I remember when Cassandra started doing door to door, one of the things that people said that they appreciated so much being informed of what's going on in their community, because before that they were not very much aware,
And
and
yeah,
yeah, and I
I think
also
that's why she won.
yeah, and I also liked when when the election, by the time the election date was coming, approaching, I remember some of the feedback on social media were like, we're voting for Cassandra because she's the modern, creative person we want her want to represent us, and as compared to previous or others who were not as active as she was, not modern in terms of using the different channels, different ways. The energy also, the campaign reflected a lot of energy for the people, and what she can bring to the table, because some people would say, like, if she's like too young, or her first time to be in a city council, or maybe they would have their doubts, but the way we presented the campaign, definitely the way you planned it, it definitely made people, showed people what she's capable of becoming or being as a city counselor.
Yeah, my main thing as a marketer, like when I come in, I have clients now in my marketing business, and I always come in to them, and it's not about posting about how great you are or anything like that. It's what's the value you can provide to your audience. So even though she wasn't selling anything, she was selling herself, and she was selling what she could do for her ward for Fredericton. So it was really building that trust and connection and that rapport. So people felt confident by the time they went to the polls, even if they'd never spoken to Cassandra before in their life, they would see her name on that ballot and be like, oh, that's that girl that made all that effort. So I'm really, again, I'm proud of
Yeah,
myself. I'm proud of this campaign. I'm proud of our team.
that's only also one of the things that one of the feedback I saw on social media, like how much work and effort what was done, and so early, like people said,
Yeah.
even the people advised her to start later, but she still, we started early, and the plan and everything, it was an awesome experience even for myself, just doing my small part with you guys, but truly what I've seen, like everyone, the effort everyone put, the plan you have put, and the strategy and everything, it sort of all came together.
I know. Honestly, it was so amazing to see that come together. And it was my first time kind of managing, like we had a team of like 8 girls all coming together and all these moving pieces. And I was editing a podcast every week on top of like my job. And like it was crazy what we had taken on. And every month I was sitting down and I was like, okay, we're going to ramp it up. I think I had like monthly meetings where I was like, okay, here's the marketing for this month. And we're going another step. And now we're going times 2. And then we're going to do this. So I'm glad that we started so early too, because with Cassie, it being her first time and her being in her like mid to late 20s, I knew that it was going to take a lot more convincing maybe and
Yeah.
a lot more time to show people that she was actually capable of taking on this role. So I think we actually started the campaign in November, had like a soft launch then, and we're slowly moving into it. And then by the time maybe January, February hit, we were posting every day, 3 blog posts, like we were going at it at that point, and really kind of drowned out the people around her online. And the other thing too is we didn't approach it very traditionally because it wasn't a traditional campaign. They were supposed to have this election a year prior to when it actually happened, and because of COVID it got delayed.
Yeah.
So that was a whole other thing too, is people were really waiting for this change of council and wanted to see it happen. So to see somebody step up and be like, I really want this, and I'm going to do amazing things for the community, and here's proof, and I'm backing it up, and I'm communicating with you already and building that trust, like girl was a shoo-in.
Wow. So we know that Cassandra won, definitely. Yes. So what are some of the lessons learned from this campaign that you would, adapt to your future work, or if you're ever involved in any other campaign?
Absolutely. So with clients today, I think one of the biggest lessons I learned throughout that campaign is that people don't want to be sold to. They want to be provided a value, a reason to follow you. They want a connection. I think people are really sick of being just directly sold to online. I don't know about you, but I get like a random DM in my Instagram every day being like, hi girl, here's this. Da, 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 da. We're kind of over that at this point. We want something authentic. We want to, we want a genuine connection with the people that we're following. So that's something, even when I work with a business, I'm applying a very personal touch. I have a beauty salon that I work with right now. and we could just talk about services all day long. But instead, I forced the girls to be at the forefront of the social media to build that connection, to build that trust, and to bring in more bookings. So that's something I definitely learned throughout this campaign, and it really changed my perspective on that. So love that. Being able to delegate is actually pretty big. So I'm the type of person that like wants to take everything myself and do it because I know I'll do it right. Which is something I'm working on. And you got to trust other people and you got to let go. So for me to come into this campaign and be like, I have this super ambitious plan and I'm going to do it all. And then people be like, no, we're going to help you write blog posts and we're going to take some of this off your shoulders so you can like still have your life. I'm like, oh my goodness. So being able to delegate, I think was something that was really big and that I learned throughout the campaign. But yeah, a genuine connection and being able to have a good group of people around you to rely on. Like I couldn't have done this without you gals. It's one thing to come up with like, you know, a marketing plan and the plan for the campaign and stuff, but you can't execute something properly if you don't actually have like the manpower, the woman power behind you to do it.
It was a woman team, right? All women team, right? Yeah. That was cool as well, you know?
That was super cool and empowering. And the fact that, you know, a lot of us didn't even know each other prior to, like Cassie just brought a bunch of people together and we all jumped in Zoom calls and worked together. Like that was pretty cool that we were able to do that. And we all had this common goal and we were able to actually achieve that goal too. But I still can't believe she won. I like pinch myself all the time when I see her posting and being like, I'm at city council today, I'm doing this. I'm like, oh my God, we helped her do that.
Yeah, it's definitely there's a sense of achievement, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And I even noticed like there was a lot of many campaigns that were running during this time. After a while, I did notice some of them were trying to pick up some of the tactics that we were applying to Cassie's campaign. And that was just so cool to see as a marketer. It was very validating. I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually pulling this off. I actually know what I'm doing.
I feel, you know, the campaign literally raised the you know, raised the bar.
Oh yeah, like I want some like y'all better be calling me for the next election and giving me some good money.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, I'm very proud of it all. It went really well, and like I think if anybody could take something away from it, it's just knowing like I said with the demographics, if you put all your efforts in print media, you're only going to reach a certain demographic. If you put all your efforts into Instagram, you're only going to reach a certain demographic. You really do need to be everywhere and you need to spend your money wisely and don't dump it in places where you can get a lot of reach for free. Dump it in places where like print media and stuff like that. Like one of the smartest things that we did print media wise was send out postcards to all the apartment buildings that we couldn't physically get to knock on the door and stuff like that. Like make sure you reach out to everyone. Spread your horizons.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Ashley. That was a really, really interesting and informative chat, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity to learn about your approach and how you managed, you know, this entire thing. Thank you for coming, and see you again.
Thank you for having me, love, and thank you for everything you've taught me SEO wise.